Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. I am James and you're watching Blue Dog Aquatics. Alright guys, today, if you haven't seen my TikTok yet, make sure to go and check that out and make sure to follow us. Also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. But what we're doing today and what we just posted on TikTok was my top 10 favorite reptiles. So, without further ado, let's jump into it. Alright, starting out at number 10 is the blue cobalt. Now, there's a little controversy on as to why I like this. I like them just because it's a beautiful tarantula with lots and lots of color, and you can see that in the picture here that they're just absolutely stunning. But with that, it's an old world tarantula. And man, I'll tell you what, one tarantula that can get me moving across the house is a blue cobalt. And that's because they are so lightning fast. I sold one recently and the guy's like, well, I need to verify that it's alive. Okay, so I gotta slowly dig up its entire burrow just to find it, only for it to come flying out, and I'm like, nope! Slapped it down, closed the enclosure, I'm like, there you go, it's alive. They are so quick, and they would rather pick a fight with you than run. So, I kind of like that, the spunky, sassy, in-your-face tarantula, and that's one of the main reasons why I like them. Number 9 is the Veiled Chameleon. Now, a lot of you remember we had Rio. Unfortunately, Rio passed away. She actually became egg-bound, and not in the way that you're thinking. She was actually laying eggs, and one actually was bigger than the others and actually got stuck in her pelvis. And she became septic and passed away, which was really unfortunate. She was a really sweet Veiled Chameleon, and as you can see through the pictures here, she was absolutely beautiful. Veiled Chameleons, you know, everybody's like, well, are they easier than panthers? They require the same care that a panther does. They're still a chameleon. They still need the different UVBs and the lighting and the humidity and misting and lots and lots of care. But if you're ever looking for a very sweet beginner chameleon, definitely the way to go is a Veiled Chameleon like our girl Rio. Number 8 is the Savannah Monitor. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of monitors that I love. I absolutely love the Nile Monitor, and those colors are just unreal. But as you can see in the Savannah Monitor's picture right here, that they're just as equally beautiful. And I'll tell you what, this Savannah that we had was, he was a character, because you'd come down in the morning and you'd be doing feeding and everything, and he would just kind of peep his head out. But if he caught you looking at him, disappear. But the second you opened up his enclosure, bam, he was right there going, gimme, 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 gimme food. So, their Savannah Monitors get very, very large, and that's why I don't think it's best for a lot of people to have them. Obviously, if you have the proper enclosures and the proper substrate and the proper lighting and care, go for it. I am not going to stop you from holding back on your dreams of owning a Savannah Monitor, but do know that these animals grow anywhere from 4 to 6 feet. I mean, 6 foot, that's as tall as I am. That's a big monitor. And if they're not worked with a lot, they can pick up quite the attitude, and dealing with a 6 foot pissed off monitor is just, it's not a good time. Number 7 is the green tree python. Now, I had wanted one for so many years, and you can see our girl Maleficent right here. We've actually had her for quite a few years now, and she's actually gotten better. You know, when we first got her, like, oh man, I can't even tell you how many times I was bit by her. But, you know, over time, and as you guys know, her name's Maleficent. Kind of goes hand in hand with crankiness. But lately, over the last couple of months, she's actually been chilling out, which is really surprising me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still on my guard because their teeth are no joke. The way their teeth are set back, it's kind of hooked backwards. And so when they bite, your natural reaction is to rip back on the snake, but what happens when you do that is you actually sink the teeth even further in. And so you just don't want that. So what you have to do is you have to hold the head and push it up forward. You might get chomped on a couple more times while doing this because it's not exactly natural for the snake to do. But if you want an arboreal snake that is absolutely beautiful to look at, design a custom waterfall and have just that tropical theme, then definitely go for green tree pythons. Number 6 is the blue bar antelope panther chameleon. As you can see, this is the captain. Y'all know him. He's been around to all the different shows for Aquatics, and he's been, I mean, he's just a great chameleon. We worked with him because, as you all know, when we were down in Dallas for Aquatics, we sold him off so that we could bring up some of his kids to introduce into the breeding program. So yeah, it's insane just how striking and how colorful. And that chameleon, you know, some chameleons, they're like, don't touch me, leave me alone. But with him, he's just like, I don't care. He's like, whatever. He would come up the second we'd walk up to his enclosure, and he'd come right up and climb right up on us. Our kids would walk around with him and hold him. You know, the chameleon, the captain just didn't care. Now, with that being said, why he's one of my favorites is I love the colors of panthers. And the variation, no two panthers are the same color. You know, they may have similar markings, but the patterns are different. And I think that it's just, every time you get a panther chameleon, it's a one of a kind. It suits you, because I mean, I know people that search for years looking for the right specific panther chameleon. And you know, we definitely miss the captain and we miss having him around, but we have Hot Rod and Skittles that are coming around and taking on the joy, and we're working with them. And Hot Rod's still at that point where he's like, okay, I'll breed, but I really don't want to be messed with. So we definitely work with him on that. Do remember though that he's still a chameleon. So just like when we talked about with the veiled chameleon, they still need all the lighting and humidity and proper enclosures and all that. So make sure to do your research with them. But yeah, let's get into number 5. Now number 5 is a Candino candy albino ball python. Now we did a lot of videos towards him in the beginning, and that was because he was one of our beginning snakes. Now what you don't know is that he actually came to us very, very sick. And he, you know, for being a 6-month-old python, he doesn't look 6-month-old. He looks like a newborn because he was so loaded with parasites and even being captive bred. That's what gets me. And so when he came in, he immediately was just, it was a fight. And thankfully, you know, he is starting to get on the up and up. So hopefully here in the next couple of months, he'll be back at the shop, and so you guys can all come see him. But I love albinos. Just the color variation is just insane. That yellow and white and the red eyes. I know some red eyes weird people out, but for me, I think it just gives them character. And you know, every single snake has their own personalities. Being a albino or a ball python, they still will get very, very big. And not, when I say very, very big, I don't mean like reticulated python 30 feet. I mean, they'll get an average of 4 to 6 feet, depending on the morph, depending on who their parents are. So I have a lot of customers that come in and they're just absolutely stoked, especially to have their very first ball python. And like I said, you know, every one of them is different. So if you haven't done that, make sure to check it out. Now we're at that halfway. Well, we're a little over halfway because up next is number 4. But before we do that, if you're enjoying this channel, make sure to like and subscribe. I know you kind of see in the background over here, these are fire belly newts. Now I won't get too close because if you want to see a video, make sure to drop a comment down below. I want to thank everybody that's coming into our store. If you haven't been to our store, it's 7322 Harrison Street, La Vista, Nebraska 68128. We do deals all the time on all different kinds of animals. We have a white-lipped python, we have mangrove monitors, peach throat monitors, ball pythons out the yin-yang, boas, rainbow boas, lots and lots of fish, but we won't get into that because remember, this is the top 10 of reptiles. So if you haven't stopped in yet, make sure to do it. So without further ado, number 4. Now number 4 is a spider het clown. Now there is a lot of issues with spiders, and you know, honestly, when I first started getting into spiders, and honestly, I've owned 4. That's it. Currently I own 2, and they are still from the original 4. I didn't know about all the neurological issues that they have or can have, and so I typically try to stay away from spiders. In no means do I think that an animal with neurological issues, or just because it is the genus of spider, whether it has it or not, I don't think that animal should be put down, because it's not that animal's fault that someone else bred and bred and bred to cause it to have those neurological issues. Now we have a spinner and a spider het clown. This one right here is the spider het clown. The spider het clown is a little bit older. He's an adult male, and he's slowly starting to show signs of neurological issues, but he's so sweet. He eats really well, and I like having him around. But when I sell animals like that I know have issues, we're not even asking full price because we know there's an issue there, but at the same time, we also are trying to make sure that that animal goes to the right home so it can be taken care of properly. But with the spider het clown, we are also only selling it as a pet and not a breeder, because we don't want his genetic lines to keep going and causing future snakes to have these issues. So make sure to do your research on those. Now number 3 is the bearded dragon. As you all know her, her name's Mama. Mama went to an amazing home. A young lady came in and purchased her and got everything she needed for her. But now Mama was a 0 morph hypomelanistic, which just typically means that she has more white in her. There are so many different variations of bearded dragons, but as far as bearded dragons go, everybody's like, oh well, they're definitely beginner pets. Not really. When you think about all the care and all the lighting and all the supplements and all the stuff that goes into a bearded dragon, they're not exactly your typical beginner pet. Now, if you were to do like a dart frog where you're throwing in fruit flies and making sure they're misted down and making sure that the humidity's up, okay, I could see that as maybe a beginner. But when it comes to bearded dragons, there still is a lot of care. Now, as they get older, they are more forgiving as far as care, but that doesn't mean that you should let it slip. Baby bearded dragons, if you slip even a little bit, bam, they will go downhill in a heartbeat. And if you don't supplement and have the right lighting, which can lead to, you guessed it, metabolic bone disease. Man, that is a mouthful. But Mama was an absolute sweetheart. She loved to come up. I'd walk around with her on my chest, and she would just cuddle and nuzzle, and essentially that's what led to her finding her forever home, and we are so very grateful for that. But if you want a bearded dragon and you have done your research and you have the proper setup, go for it. And we have quite a few down at the shop. Now number 2 is someone who we call Herbert. Herbert is a monkey tail skink. Now, they're not too common. I mean, you can get them. That's not what I'm saying. Is you really don't see them in the trades. And when you do, they're really expensive, and there's kind of a reason for that. Herbert is, well, they're skinks, but they love to climb, and definitely when you see this picture of Herbert, he's up on top of my hat and he's just going for a ride. He's like, I'm the king of the mountain up here, boy. But they still need places to climb. They need vegetation. We built this beautiful bioactive enclosure for Herbert, and within 3 days he had ripped up, destroyed, and eaten every single plant that was in there. And so I was like, come on, man. Like, and now I don't even want to put you in a different one because I'm like, well, you already screwed this one up. But I love the fact that he's always smiling, or it looks like that. They almost look prehistoric in just the way that their body and their head is shaped. Like, if you got with him in a dark alley, you were probably going to lose that fight. But Herbert's an amazing animal. He has quite the personality, so definitely come down, say hi to Herbert. And without further ado, let's get into number 1. Now, number 1 is a red tricolor Harlequin crested gecko. Now, you may ask, why is that one my favorite? You know, why isn't the captain or Herbert or Mama Beardy? Why is the red crested gecko my favorite? And it's quite simple. I just honestly love his personality. He's very sweet, and he kind of reminds me of my time in the army, where, like, you know, for missions we have to hide from the enemy and, you know, take cover. And he actually does that. Like, he will hide underneath like a leaf, and then there will be a cricket that goes doing, 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 and he'll come out and just sneak attack. And I mean, they're just absolutely beautiful animals and really incredible. They do need supplement. They do need humidity and lighting and all that. So they're definitely the up and coming trend, and especially when you get. I noticed this recently when I was doing research with uncrested geckos, that there are so many different variations, and it could be like a white strip down its back that changes it from a $50 crested gecko to a $200 crested gecko, and that's just absolutely insane. But yeah, he's one of my favorites, and that's mainly because of his personality. So that's number 1 for you. If you enjoy this list, stay tuned next week. Next Monday, we are doing my top 10 favorite fish. And after that, we might do a top 10 favorite shrimp. Because as you guys know, the shrimp is where my business started almost 2 years ago. And I want to pay homage to that. And it's very near and dear to my heart, just as much as it was the day back there, or the day when we first started. So happy President's Day, whether you like your president or not. I mean, that's up to you. But thanks for watching, guys, and as always, the big question: your tank or mine?